Hello, in this lecture we will take a look at Chapter 5 and we will be working once again with Larry Landscaping. This will be the last chapter that we will be working with Larry Landscaping, so you want to make sure to take full enjoyment of Larry Landscaping in this process. First thing we're going to do is open the Larry Landscaping, which we should have down at this point. We could go to the file to open the Larry Landscaping, which I put into the data files personally, and double click on the file. We could also open the program of 2014 and then locate the file. Once QuickBooks open, you may see a screen like this. You may see a screen that looks slightly different. Whatever screen you do see, you should see a File tab up top. So notice that this will be there no matter what. If we want to go to the quick access, we can go here and go to Larry Landscaping, and we can open files with these icons as well. But like I say, later we will be using files that will be very similar in nature, very similar in naming, and it may be easier or better for us to go to the File tab and find the file because we can see the path and we know exactly which file we are opening. So I'm going to open a file, I'm going to select Next, and then I'm going to go to the desktop where my file is located, and it happens to be in the QuickBooks folder because that's where I put it, and it's in Data Files, and I'm going to double click on the Larry Landscaping. Once you have the file open, you can see that this is the correct file with the name up here in the sample for Larry Landscaping up top. You'll also may have folders open from the last time we were using Larry Landscaping, and you probably want to close those, so we're going from a fresh start going forward. Therefore, you could go to the Windows tab over here, this drop down, and select Close All. That will close all windows here. If you would like to reopen the Home window, then you can go to the Home icon to open the home window. Remember that if you do not have this View tab over here, I do recommend having that open. That's under the View drop down, and if you check this icon here, you will have this View tab. The only thing open at this time is the home screen. Let's take a look at what we have. I'm going to let you pause it and read through the scenario for Larry Landscaping, and we're going to skip down to the gray area where the activities will take place. So first one, we're going to create an accounts receivable aging report. So open Larry Landscaping, we have done so. Number 2 then says, from the report center, click the customers and receivables, and then double click the AR aging summary under the AR aging. Alright, so I'm going to go back to the company. We're going to go back to reports, and I'm going to make this large. We're still in the standard reports, but we're not in the company now. We are now in the customers and receivables. So we're going to go down to the second tab. I like to see this in terms of a list, so therefore I'm going to go to this icon here to make this a list. And then we're looking for the AR aging summary, was it? Yes, the summary. So the first one here under the customers, we're going to go ahead and run that report by clicking the Run button, and there we have that report. Number 3, change the report date to 11/30/14, and then click Collapse. See the company AR summary. So we want it to look like that. After we have done these 2 steps, we're going to change the date to 11/30. Yes, 11/30/14, and we are then going to collapse the information. So notice that you have these kind of arrows here, and if you click that, it'll kind of collapse it like that. We're going to collapse all of them with the Collapse button, and there we have a nice report here. What is this report telling us? It's telling us that people owe us money. They owe us $25,866. This is the stuff that's past due, 1 to 30 days past due, 31 to 60, and 61 to 90, over 90, and the total. So this is going to be a very important port for people that work in the AR department. We'll be working with this a lot. This number will also be on the balance sheet in the accounts receivable account. So this is breaking it out by customer. Alright, so we do look like this report, I believe. Yes, okay. And then I'll let you pause this and read through this area. We're going to skip to the beige box, which now has the activity of to investigate a particular receivable and on an accounts receivable aging report. So we're going to double click the 7751 balance owed to Brian. So let's take a look. 77. So that's this one. Why are we investigating this one, by the way? Because it's passed over 90 days. This person has not paid us for quite some time. So we are concerned about that one. We're going to double click and say what is going on here. And then we'll see the invoice. It's from Brian here, the date being here, and let's see what else they would like us to do. An AR aging quick zoom report appears. This report indicates that the invoice 23 date 5/5 was due 5/5/14 is presently 209 days past due. We can see that here. And we will move down to number 3, which then says double click this invoice to investigate further. Invoice 23 appears. Invoice 23 describes the items sold, their depreciation quantity, and sales price. So this gives us the general information. If I want to see the actual invoice, we can double click on that and we should get the actual invoice. So notice what's happened. Why do people owe us money? Because we did work and billed them. A bill to us is an invoice. So we created an invoice, sent it out, debiting accounts receivable, crediting sales. What for? For the plants. So we had these plants at this quantity, that rate. Here's the total, and here's that $77.54 that is owed to us that has not yet been paid according to this information. So then I'm going to skip down to page 75, and number 4. Click the transaction tab as shown in figure 5.3 and then click the blue text payment next to 12.4.14. The customer payment of this invoice appears. Observe that the $87.54 check was received 12.4 of this. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So if we move over here, we can see the customer tab and we can see the transaction tab. So if we select the second tab here, you can see that we have a payment, related transaction payment of the $77.54. So we do have a payment on there. If we were to open that, we can click on the payment and we see this customer payment here. And so then the question is, that means that this invoice was paid. Why is it showing up on our aging as unpaid then? And the answer is usually what the answer is often going to be, and that's a date issue. That the payment was on 12/4. We ran our aging report as of 11/30, so it was paid 4 days later. So if we ran this as of 12/4, just to check this out, then we would no longer see that over 90 there. So it's a timing thing. I'm going to bring this back to 11:30, and that is the reason for that. So I'm going to scroll down here. We're on number 5. It says to close the window. I'm going to go ahead and save these as we go. And so let's go ahead and save these reports. We have the customer payment here. We do not have the export to Excel option. We could hit the drop down and save as a PDF. If that's not an option here either, we could print it to a PDF file. What I'm going to do is open the Word document and screenshot these items for the fastest way to get this information that is not savable as the PDF file. So I'm just going to open up Word and I'm just going to very quickly go to File, to Insert, Illustration Group, and Screenshot down to Screen Clipping, and then I will clip this information, and just so we have that in case we need that. Then I'm going to scroll back here. I'm going to close this up by clicking this top window here. For you, it will probably go to the second thing that we had open. I've kind of jumbled around here a bit. For you, it will jump back to the invoice. If it does not, you can go to the open windows over here. I'm going to screenshot this in case we need that. So we'll go to the Insert tab. I'm going to go to Screenshot, scroll down, and I'm going to clip the invoice, maybe the whole thing like that. Alright, so we have that, and then I'm going to go back here. I'm going to close this window, and then we have this report. Probably don't need this report. I'm going to close this report, and then we have this report, and I would like to print this at some time. I'm going to move forward for now and see what we have next. Oh, it does says to close all reports. So I'm going to go ahead and print this now. So I'm going to go to this one I want to export to Excel. So I'm going to go to Export. I'm going to create a new worksheet. And then because this is the first one, I'm going to put it into a new workbook. It's the first one, and the next one we do, we're going to put it into an existing workbook. So for now, we're going to make a new workbook, and it should open a workbook with this worksheet in the workbook. Alright, so here is the workbook and the worksheet, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the second tab, the page layout. I'm going to select OK when that pops up. We're going to go to the View tab up top in the Windows group. I'm going to unsplit the pane. I'm going to rename this sheet by double-clicking on the sheet and typing in the name of A.R. Aging Summary as of 11/30. Then I'm going to go ahead and go back to the first tab and save this. I'm going to go to File, I want to go to Save As. I'm going to go to My Computer because I'm going to put it on the computer. I'm going to browse the computer to find a location to put this. I'm going to scroll up and put it on the desktop because I think that's the easiest way to find it. I'm going to scroll down to the folder I created, which was QuickBooks, and we are in week 2, I believe. And I'm going to make a new folder by right-clicking in the open area, going to New and Folder. Call this Chapter 5 because we are working on the 5th chapter, and we can name this Reports Chapter 5, something like that. And there's that. Now we could close this, we could leave it open. I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'm going to do the same thing for my Word document. I'm not going to close the Word document, but I'm going to save it as and make sure that we do not lose the information as we go. I'm going to go to the computer, browse. I'm going to find that location once again. It's on my desktop. It's under the QuickBooks. It's in week 2, and it's Chapter 5. And once again, Chapter 5 Forms. Alright, I'll keep that one open in case we just want to screenshot a couple forms. In case you're wondering why these little icons are there, sometimes it's easier to have those icons when you screenshot or look at formatting. In order to have those, it's in the Home tab, Paragraph. There's the paragraph, so it's just showing that I hit return on those items. Alright, then we can close this up. Back here, closing this up, going back to the book to see what we have to do next. You can then hit pause and read through the scenario. I'm going to skip to page 76 in the next gray area, which then has the objective of to create a customer balance summary. So from the report center, click the customers and receivables, and then double click the customer balance summary located under the customer balance title. Change the date to 11/30 and collapse. So back to the QuickBooks, and I'm currently in the report center. If you're not in the report center, you could go to report center with this button or over here in the open windows, and we will now go to the customers and receivable tab, which is already there. Customers and receivables. If you're going to scroll down to the next subsection within this section, you will then see the customer balance here. So we have the customer balance, and the first item under that subcategory is customer balance summary, which I believe is what we want. So we will run that by selecting the run button, and we want the dates to be 11/30. I'm just going to make both dates 11/30, 11/30, 1/4, 11/30, 1/4, and this is a report that is a balance sheet account, meaning it's as of a point in time. So we can put any from date, and it should have similar activities, being that it is a summary report and not showing the activity. And then we want to collapse it. So we're going to go back over here and select the collapse button, which will basically collapse all these little triangles like that and give us a nice, neat balance summary as of November 30th of the customers who owe us money by customer and how much they owe. It does not show us how past due it is in this report. This just gives us the quick overview of who owes us what. Scrolling down to number 2 then says, notice that this is exactly the information the banker has requested. So you read through the scenario, and we printed this for the banker who wanted this information. A list of the total amounts each customer owes Larry Landscaping and Garden Supply as of 11/30. When you have finished viewing, close the report. So I'm going to go ahead and print it first. I'm going to export it to an Excel sheet. So I'm going to go to Excel and create a new worksheet. When the next screen pops up, I want to put it into an existing workbook because we have already created another workbook. It's going somewhere, but I don't think it's going to the one we want because we haven't yet pointed to it yet. It's currently going to Chapter 4. I'm going to hit the drop down and go back to QuickBooks because we want to go into week 2, but I want it in Chapter 5, so we want it in this file here. So I'm going to double click on that. It should then open and export it. So there it is. I'm going to make this large. I'm going to go to the second view option, being the page layout view. I'm going to select OK here. I'm going to go up to the View tab, Windows group, turn off that split, and then rename the tab by double clicking on the sheet 1 that has been created and calling it Customer, I'm going to abbreviate, Summary 11/30. And then I'm going to try to pull this over to the End tab because I want to keep it in order. I'm going to pull this over here. If you see these little dots, that means that you have more tabs over here, and that's that Instruction tab. So there we have that. I'm going to go back to the normal view. It's already saved, so I can just hit the icon here, being the floppy drive, which no one knows what that is anymore. And then I'm going to close that. And note that if you do not have that option, you can save it as a PDF file by printing it as a PDF file or going to File. So then you would go to File, you're going to go to Save As, and we are then going to locate it. It's on the computer. Going to scroll down to the QuickBooks. Going to go into week 2, chapter 5, and I'm going to rename this. I'm going to put the full name here since I have enough room to do so, and it's called the Customer Balance Summary as of 11/30/14. So there we have that saved in multiple ways, and then we can say back here when you're done, they want to close it. So then I can close it like that and go back to the instructions. So then you can hit pause and you can read through this again. I'm going to skip to page number 77 in the gray area, which has an objective of to create an inventory valuation summary. Number 1, from the report center, click inventory and then double click inventory valuation summary located under the inventory valuation title. Set the report to 12:15. The inventory valuation summary appears. Resize the columns as necessary to view this report. So we're going to go back over here. We're going to look for inventory down here on the left hand side. We're looking for inventory valuation summary being the first report. We're going to go ahead and run that report like so, and it automatically gave us the date that we wanted, which was 12/15. Note that if you needed to adjust the columns, it's similar to an Excel. Like if you put your cursor right there, you can then adjust the columns like this, and you do need to think about adjusting the columns when we print these types of reports, which we'll take a look at with this one in a second. So I'm going to scroll down and see what we have. Scroll through the report to familiarize yourself with it. It describes the inventory on hand. So clearly this is the inventory that we have. So we have the on hand, the average cost. Now remember, there's 3 cost methods that we won't spend a lot of time on here, but you know, LIFO, FIFO, and average. The QuickBooks generally defaults to average cost method when we use it for inventory. And a lot of companies will use QuickBooks in their inventory. Some companies will use a different program to help to calculate the inventory. Depends on how complex the calculation of inventory is. And so then we have our asset valuation and the percent of the total, the sales price, and the retail value, and the percent of total retail. So these are the columns we have available to us for the inventory that we have. Of course, Larry Landscaping being someone that doesn't usually sell stuff, it's a service company. So their inventory is smaller than it would be for maybe some other companies that sell inventory being their main source of revenue. All right, so I'm going to scroll down, and we now have the objective of to view the underlying document of the inventory valuation summary. So then we're going to double click the pump representing the 37.3% of the cost of inventory on hand, and inventory valuation detail appears by default. This report shows activity for the month to date as of 12/15/14, but Scott wants to know the total inventory on hand and see activity for the quarter. To find this information, you need to change the date to 10/1. Okay, so we're going to double click on the pump. So we're going to go back over here, and we are looking for the pump, which was this one here. So it's 30. It's a large part of our inventory, so we're going to double click on that using the quick zoom, drilling down on the quick zoom there. And by default, this shows activity for the month. We want to change the date from 10/1. So we're going to go back over here, and we're going to change the beginning date because we want to see more information here. It only has by date information in the inventory valuation detail. We want to see it as of 10/01/14. And that will give us some more of this dates up here so we can see more activity by date in this report. So then we can go ahead and refresh that. It already did so. Note that this report shows the beginning inventory of 47, purchases of 11, and sales 10 for the ending. So there we have it, 47 there. All right, so we're going to scroll down. I'm on page 78. It says the inventory valuation detail here, and here's the item. So our picture should look like this picture there, and there we have it. So we look good. Then we're going to scroll down to the next page box, which says to view the actual bill. So we're going to use the quick zoom again to drill down further. We're going to double click anywhere in the row containing the information on the bill from Nolan Hardware and Supplies. The bill appears as shown in figure 5.8 on the following page. Adjust your window size and scroll down the invoice to locate the pump purchase activity. Alright, so we're going to go back over here. We're looking for the bill for Nolan. So we're going to scroll down here. Going to make this a little bit larger. There's Nolan right there. There's the bill for Nolan. Going to double click on that. And here we have it. So notice all this activity is stuff that Nolan has in the bill. And we could scroll down here, and here is the pump right there at the bottom. And there it is. Alright. Then we're going to scroll down here, and it says, after you examine the bill, close open windows. So once again, I'm just going to save all this stuff as we go when we close it in case we need to turn it in as we go. So this one, the easiest way to do that would be to screenshot it. So I could screenshot it, or I can print it as a PDF. The print as PDF is not open here. We cannot save it to the Excel document as easily. We could screenshot it to the Excel document as well to put it all in one file. But I have this Word document open at this time, so I'll just keep it going with that. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to go to Screenshot and clip it. And then just clip this entire thing like that in case we need that information. Then I'm going to scroll down and just click on the next area in case we need to continue with that. We could also hit the Save button as we go. It's already located where we want it to be located, so we don't need to select Save As. Then I'm going to go ahead and close this one. Not this one, but this little X should close it up. And this report. This one I'd like to export to Excel. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Excel here. I'm going to create a new worksheet. It will be going to the same workbook. So I'm going to put it to an existing workbook. It's now going where I want it to go, I believe. Let's double check. It is Chapter 5. There's the Excel sheet. I'm going to double click on that. That's the one I want. We're going to export it, and it should open that Excel sheet with it should open that Excel workbook with a new worksheet. So here it is. I'm going to make it large. Here's the new workbook. Here's the new sheet. I'm going to go ahead and move it to the page layout view and say OK. Go up to the View tab in the Windows group and unsplit it. Then I'm going to rename the tab by double clicking on the tab and call it Inventory. I'm just going to abbreviation Valuation Detail like so. Then we can move it to the end. I'm going to put my cursor on it and drag it to the end so it's in order. If we want to see all the tabs, once again, we can hit this little button over here to show all the tabs that we have at this time. I'm going to go back to the normal view like so. I'm going to save this, and then I'm just going to close this. We can also export it. We can print it to a PDF file, and we can probably go to File, Save As. Once again, you don't have to do both of these things, but you want to do one or the other. I prefer the Excel document, Inventory Valuation Detail. Something like that. Then we can close this one, and we want to do the same thing for this report. This report, I'm kind of if we were to print these to the PDF file, note there's one other step that you want to check that I was going to show you, and that is that you want to see if the columns are on one page again. So you don't have to worry about that in Excel until you print Excel. But if we were to print this out and we went to the print forms and print report, and we go to the preview tab, it looks like this one happens to be all on one page. But you want to check that when you print these things out, because it's really frustrating when you're looking at a report like this and these columns are on the second page. So just keep that in mind as you go through these types of reports. So I'm going to go ahead and export this one. We're going to go to Excel and create a new worksheet. We're going to put it into an existing workbook, which is the second option. It's going where we want it by this time. I'm not going to check it because I'm pretty confident that it is going to the location that we would like it to go to, since we have done this multiple times. Excel should then open a new the existing workbook with a new tab worksheet. I'm going to go ahead and go to the page layout and say OK, and then double click on the tab, rename the tab to the Inventory Valuation Summary as of 12/15, and then say OK. Go back to the normal view, and then I'm going to pull this icon over. Actually, I didn't remove the split, huh? I'm going to go to the View tab, remove the split in the Windows group split, and then I can move this over. And then if you want to see all the tabs here, remember all the tabs are over here. That's why I have these 3 dots. So you can move that over. You can also move this pane a little bit if you want to have some more room, like so. So I'm going to close this up. I'm going to save it as we go. Should probably save it before we close it, but either way will work. And close that, and then go back to the book and see what else we have. Scrolling down to page 79, you're going to want to pause and read through the scenario here. I'm going to skip down to the next page box, which has an objective of to create the accounts payable aging report. So from the report center, click the vendors and payables, and then double click the AP aging summary under the AP aging. Change the report to 1130 and then click refresh. Alright, so let's do that. We're going to go back to here. We're already in reports. If you're not in reports, you can select reports up here. We did the receivables here. Now we want to go to the payables. So where are the payables? So they're under vendors and payables. So we're going to go to vendors and payables, and the first one in there is the AP aging. So now we have the AP aging. Going to select the run button and run the AP aging. It defaults to 12:15. We want to bring it back in time to 11:30:14, like so. If we click down here, it will refresh automatically. This report looks familiar. It's got the A in it, but instead of AR, it's AP. What is AP? Accounts payable. That's who we owe. So instead of the amount that people owe us, which we then sorted by customer, we have the amount that we owe others, which we sort by what we call vendors, the people that we owe stuff to. Vendors, kind of sellers, store merchants. You can think of it, that's where the term, I believe, comes from. And we have the same kind of idea. We have the current, we have the 1 to 30 past due that we need to pay more readily, the 31 to 60 past due, the 61 to 90, and the over 90. This balance here would tie out to our balance sheet in the liability section under accounts payable. Scrolling down, scroll through the AP aging summary. If necessary, change the column widths so the entire report displays on your screen. Ours is displaying well, so we are okay. Going to go back down to page 80, and we have a new objective of to analyze a specific liability. That liability being, double click on balance of 3647.2. Alright, so let's go back over here. We're going to drill down once again using our quick zoom for this balance being the 3647. We can click anywhere in this row. I'm going to double click on that, bringing us to this activity. It is consisting of these 4 bills. So let's see what else we want to do on that. And we obviously have this big bill here, so that's probably the one we want to look at. Double click on the 2835 amount. The detail of the bill appears. Notice that the bill documents sprinkler piping items purchased. So we're going, wow, that's a big bill. Let's look at that. And there we have the bill here, and we have this amount of the 2008-35 for our landscaping there that we could look into and question about. So we're going to scroll down here. I'm on number 3, which then says, when you have finished viewing the bill, close all windows. So again, before I close them all, I'm just going to copy them and save them as we go in case we need to turn those in. I'm going to do that with my Word document here for the bill. So I'm going to scroll back to QuickBooks. Again, we could print it as a PDF file. That's more than fine. We can't export it to Excel. We could also screenshot it to Excel, which might even be a better option. But I'm going to go ahead and screenshot it to our Word document here. I'm going to go to the Insert tab, going to go to the Illustration group, going to go to Screenshot and Screen Clipping, like so. And then we'll just highlight this bill and save that. And then I'm going to save here with the A drive floppy. And then I'm going to close this and go back to this one. We can do the same thing here. I don't want to screen clip this, even though it might be easy to do so. I would much prefer either a PDF or a Excel sheet when possible. So I'm going to go ahead and export this one to create a new worksheet, but I'm going to put it into the existing workbook. It's already going where we want it, therefore we can just export as we go, and it should open the existing workbook with a new worksheet that we will then rename. I'm going to make it large. I'm going to go over to the view and go to the page layout, select OK, go up to the View tab in the Windows group, unsplit the screen, double click on the tab to rename it and call it AP. Remember, you can't put a dash because it won't let you, because Windows thinks it's a coding thing. If you are using a Mac, then you can use a dash. Alright, and something. Okay, so then I'm going to go back to the normal view, and we can then save it and close it. Once again, if you wanted to print it as a PDF, you could go here and go to save as a PDF, or you could then print it and then change the printer to the Acute PDF printer. Those are two options that are available to you. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to do this one more time for the AP aging report by going to the Excel and create new worksheet. I'm going to put it to an existing workbook and export. Once again, it will open up the existing workbook with a new worksheet, and we will then rename it. So I'm going to make it large. Going to go over to the View tab. Going to say OK. We're then going to go to the View group in the Windows and the split pane. Double click on Sheet 1. Call it AP Aging Summary. And then I'm going to go back to the normal view and save and close. Then we can close that and see what we have next. Scrolling down to page 81, you can then read through and pause and read through these items. I'm going to skip to the next gray area, which has an objective of to create and print vendor balance summary. So, number 1, from the report center, click the vendor and payables, and then double click the vendor balance summary. In the dates section report tool bar, select all the vendor balance summary reports. Notice that the vendors are listed alphabetically. So we're going to go to report center and vendors and payables. So report center, vendors and payables, we're looking for the vendor balances, and we're looking for the vendor balance summary. So we're going to go ahead and run this report here. It's already selected to go to all, so we have that. Okay. And then we are looking like the picture here, so that is good. It's a good indication. Number 2 then says, to investigate, Scott suggests you look further into Nolan hardware balance. Once again, Nolan, okay. Double click the 960 balance and reveal the vendor balance detailed report shown in figure 513. So we're going to double click on Nolan again. So we're going to double click on this 960 being the largest amount in the series of amounts. So that would make sense for us to want to investigate it. Double clicking is the quick zoom feature. There we have the activity that is backing up this report. And so you can see that we have bills and payments. That's what the accounts payable will consist of. That's what a vendor will consist of. And we can then go back to our activity here. And I'm going down to page 82. Number 3 says, double click the 1037.95 amount to reveal the bill as shown. So I'm going to go back here. We got the amount of 1037.95 right there. I'm going to double click on anywhere in that row in order to see the bill like so. And we can see once again these items here. So click the Show PO button, which is a purchase order, to view the purchase order generated to order these items. So then we're gonna click the Show the Purchase Order. So this bill is related to a purchase order, meaning we sent out a purchase order and then we got the bill related to the purchase order. We're buying inventory, remember. So we requested the inventory. We don't report the inventory on our books until we receive the inventory, and therefore we need to, and that doesn't happen until we create the bill. So this PO is a little bit confusing. Purchase orders are a little confusing because the purchase order is one of the few types of things in QuickBooks that doesn't have a related journal entry to it, meaning it doesn't really affect the financial statements because we are not reporting the inventory until we get it, but we do need to have the purchase order in order to have them ship it to us. So there's the purchase order. We'll talk more about that later. And then we're going to scroll down to number 5, says close the purchase order, and then click Reports tab and the Transaction History button and scroll to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead, might as well screenshot this as we go. So I'm going to go to the Word document, and I'm going to make sure that this is the last screen open before we close it, and go to the Insert, Screenshot, and we might as well take a screenshot as we go, just in case we need to turn this in so we don't have to go back into it and do it later. So there we have that. I'm going to go ahead and save that and then go back to the book. So now we want to close the purchase order. So I'm going to go ahead and close the purchase order like so. And then we want to go to the transaction history. So the transaction history, once again, are on these tabs. We have the vendor tab. Here's the transaction history over here. All right, and then we're going to scroll down to page 83, and we have this information. Scroll down the payment and credit section, and then double click the payment on 11/30 to view the related check used to pay this bill. So we're in a slightly different view screen, but I'm going to go ahead and go to this icon here. It says bill payment on 11/30 to view the check. So this is the check that was related to Nolan Hardware to pay this bill, the date being 11/30. So let's scroll down the screen. Number 7 then says, when finished viewing the report, close all windows. So again, I'm just going to screenshot these as we go to make sure that we have what we need to turn in at the end of this assignment. So I'm going to go to the Word document over here, select Insert, Screenshot, and take the clipping and copy this information in case we need to report that. Going to save that. Going to go back to the QuickBooks and close this and see the next window. The bill, we might need that too, so we might as well go ahead and go to the file, the Word document here. Going to go back to the Insert tab. Going to go to the Insert group and the screenshot and clipping. And again, even if you're not working in QuickBooks on your practice, learning to get back and forth from a database and to learn how to screenshot and print reports and save reports will be useful no matter what place you are at. So this is a useful exercise, and although it can be somewhat tedious. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Then this one I'm going to export to an Excel document because I really don't want to screen clip this. I only want to screen clip things that cannot be exported and or sent to a PDF. So I'm going to create and then in an existing workbook and go ahead and export that. It's going to the location that we want it to go. So that is good. It should then open up the existing workbook with a new worksheet. There it has. Going to change the view. Going to say OK. Then we're going to go to the View tab and in Windows Group split it so that we can see the title. Double click on tab and change the name to Vendor Balance Detail. I'm going to go back to the first tab. Then I'm going to drag this to the end by clicking on it and dragging so you can see that arrow to the end. So it's in order of when we saved it. We can then hit the A floppy drive to save that. It's already in the location we want it to be. Then I'm going to go ahead and close this. Once again, we got the last report here. Let's do the same thing. We're going to go to Export, Create New, and it will then go to an existing workbook. It's going where we want it. We're going to export it one more time. It's going to open up that workbook once again with a new worksheet. There we go. We're going to go to the View tab. We're going to select OK. Then we're going to go to the View here, and in the Windows group, unsplit, and double click on that worksheet to rename it to the Vendor Balance Summary. Then I'm going to go back to the normal view. I'm going to drag that to the end like so. Again, if you see these 3 dots, you can click this way and you can see the more detail that we have there. Going to save that like that. Then we can close this up. Then we can close that window and we're back to our reports here. Scrolling down, we have the end note. You can go ahead and read through that, and that is it for this one.